Welcome, beloved chosen ones. Please listen with your heart to the story I am about to tell you without missing a single word. This is not merely a message, but a revelation. Carefully observe to whom you show kindness, for that person may be wearing a billion-dollar disguise. Chosen ones, this is not a warning. This is a prophecy. It is a sacred awakening that your pure heart has opened a hidden door in a world full of masks. You may not realize at all whom you have saved, or whom heaven has brought you to meet, simply because you acted like yourself. Reflect deeply on this. In that moment when you walked this world, harboring serene compassion, holding the door for someone, offering words of encouragement to a stranger on the verge of breaking, and showing patience without expecting anything in return, someone of power was watching you. That person did not watch to judge you, they watched to engrave you in their memory. They are not merely a wealthy person, but a figure possessing connections, influence, and quiet authority. They are a class of people who never reveal their true identities until they figure out who the other person is. And here lies a truth that many miss. 70% of billionaires intentionally operate in silence when they want to determine who the real one is. They have no followers, no flashy performances, and no display of luxury goods. They're simply people who wear ordinary hoodies, speak in a low voice, and quietly pray in their hearts, please let me meet someone who still possesses a soul. And, chosen one, you have become the very proof of that. You did not crave status, nor did you show off, nor did you bide your time for opportunities. You simply lived amidst the kindness overflowing from the very source of your being. You stood firm on the ground, shone without wavering, and were protected by something indescribable in this world. There must have been moments when you questioned what meaning kindness holds. To be honest, the world moves too fast, people deceive, and some kindness can feel like a weakness. But it is precisely at that point that a dramatic twist begins. While others were busy acting in front of the camera and seeking attention, you were accumulating holy interest in the treasure trove of heaven. From now on, everything is turned upside down. Unbeknownst to you, that arrogant man has been searching for someone like you all along. Not someone sophisticated or strategic, but someone genuine. He sought someone who is not seduced by power and can shine without the spotlight. And now that they have discovered you, the situation is about to begin to move quietly, powerfully, and forever. Before delving into how this single act of kindness brings about supernatural rewards, I would like to angel gratitude first. I hope you feel my sincere and deep gratitude simply for your presence here. Your very existence is everything. By merely listening, feeling, and aligning your soul with the truth, you are becoming part of a sacred history. If this message has already resonated with your heart, please write 7 in the comment section right now. This is not just a number. It is a symbol of sacred completion, alignment, and grace. When you write this, you are not merely reacting, but I am ready. I am aligned. I accept this. Beloved, this is not a mere image. This is a sacred encounter. It is the moment when your past kindness transforms into your present calling and into the heights of the future. Take a deep breath and listen to the end. At the end of this message, you will realize that the moment of the one you had forgotten was, in fact, the beginning of everything. The life you thought you had passed by was quietly returning to make you shine at the best of times. So let us begin. Chosen by God, your kindness is just about to receive a great reward. You saved a great man without even realizing it. First, your sincerity was not a coincidence. It was a sacred trial conducted under influence and eternal watch. Chosen engrave this truth deeply in your heart. That moment that seemed ordinary was never ordinary. Small acts such as holding a door, smiling, giving directions, or standing by a broken-hearted person were in fact sacred. This was because heaven was watching. Furthermore, someone with authority and quiet influence was observing your every move. They watched, not to judge but to confirm what is blessed in this day and age, namely, sincerity without expecting anything in return. Why do you practice kindness even at your own expense? Why do you practice mercy where no one is watching? It is not weakness. It is the manifestation of your spiritual mission. It is proof that you are one of the chosen. Surprisingly, the person you helped was different from the ordinary people commonly seen on the street. Beneath their modest clothes and humble demeanor lay the face of a wealthy merchant capable of changing your life with a single phone call. Yet you were unaware of this. That is why your actions were sacred. It was help that stemmed not from any ulterior motive, but from your very essence. In a world where people give only to gain something, such a mindset is extremely rare. Just as Isaac was being killed in the Old Testament without knowing that Louis Beaufils was watching, your kindness was not overlooked. As recorded in Luke 2, verses 11 to 12, you were chosen at that moment. Mentally strong people do not forget what they see when they see the truth. They certainly respond. Let us look back at history. Think of Keanu Reeves. He is famous for showing kindness to strangers without seeking attention. In the past, he sat next to a homeless person, conversing for hours and sharing food and conversation. That homeless person was not a celebrity, but that moment changed the hearts of those who witnessed it. Now imagine yourself on the opposite side. What if your kindness were witnessed not by a medium but by a figure who possesses the power to move the world even if their actions are not outwardly visible? The moment you gave without calculation, you passed a spiritual test that others did not even know existed. While the world strategizes for success, you stepped into supernatural grace simply by acting like yourself. The character trait that people once ridiculed as being too naive and soft-hearted has now become the key to opening doors they could never find. Hebrews 13, verse 2, perseverance and hospitality to strangers. For by doing so, some have entertained angels unaware. Could it be that the event you considered ordinary actually held cosmic significance? Could it be that someone high above sent you across your path, not for their sake, but to lift you up? Your breakthrough force does not come from connections or a resume, but is born from the genuine, fleeting moments you already possessed. Secondly, you not only helped a man of mere wealth, but also revived the soul of a person who had given up believing in the good. Listen carefully, chosen one. This was not a matter of money or influence. It was a matter of timing, energy, and the salvation of a soul. The person you helped was not only wealthy, but also utterly exhausted. On paper, they had everything: success, fame, and luxury. However, emotionally and spiritually, they were depleted and in a state of emptiness. Have you ever seen the eyes of someone hiding a storm behind a smile? That was exactly the kind of place you stepped into. You did not merely act politely, you held onto the heart of that person who had lost faith in humanity and was quietly in despair. Do you realize that your kindness was a sacred CPR for a heart that could no longer believe that a person could be genuine? Like the Good Samaritan in Luke 10, verses 33-34, you stopped where others had passed by. It was not a flashy publicity, you were simply there. You existed without lies or deceitful sales strategies. Your very presence was healing. Jim Carrey confessed that he felt a deep emptiness, even at the peak of his past fame. Apart from his external success, depression followed him. What if you had appeared when such a person was walking through life anonymously, searching for a ray of truth? You extended pure help without even knowing who the other person was. That is not a coincidence. It is a sacred promise. You were not sent to heal them, but to remind them that the righteous are still alive, that not everyone covets something, and not every soul has sold itself. You may have thought it was a trivial matter, but your words and energy shattered their spiritual numbness like sunlight. Into a prison. Matthew 5:16 records. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. You accomplished this without acting. That light became a lighthouse for someone who was about to vanish into the fog. Remember Princess Diana? Although she held the highest position in the royal family, she felt the loneliest. However, small connections with nurses, children, and strangers in the crowd reminded her of humanity again. You were that stranger to someone who, despite possessing great power, carried pain deeper than that. And now they cannot forget what you did. It was not merely pleasant. It felt real. Reflect on why you were at that place, at that time, and why your paths crossed with someone you might never meet again. What if it wasn't a coincidence? What if it was destiny transformed? Matthew 5:14 records, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. You did not seek their possessions, but their trust in people. You did not hand over money, but hope. And now they have realized that you were not just one person in the crowd, but a miracle delivered to them who were clothed even in the knowledge of prayer. Do not be surprised if a reward comes in a strange form. Someone might return to your life with unbelievable good news. A door you did not knock on might open. This is not luck or a stroke of fortune. It is the harvest reaped from the seed of kindness you planted without witnesses or expectations. The help you thought you gave might actually have been a disguise intended to elevate yourself. As Proverbs 11:25 says, he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. Thirdly, you shifted the timeline with a gesture, invisible to the world, but visible to the heavens. Chosen one, how would you feel if a fleeting moment you barely remember rewrote the life trajectories of both you and the other person? That selfless kindness not only helped someone, but also changed the outcome and blocked a flow heading toward a dark conclusion. Thanks to you, light seeped in. You did not agonize deeply, nor did you try to impress anyone, and you did not expect praise, reward, or even recognition. Yet, why was that so important? Why did the heavens take notice? It is because the spiritual realm responds to essence, not effort. And the sacred frequency dwells within your essence. That frequency does not require a stage to exert its power. It requires only purity, a smile, patience, and a single, "Are you okay?" It is fascinating how these things feel like miracles when given at the right time. Perhaps that was indeed your original mission. It is not about saving the world with grandiose gestures, but about changing destiny through sacred timing. Luke 16 verse 10 records, "He who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much." The kingdom of heaven operates differently from this world. Even if it appears to be nothing in the real world, it creates ripples in the spiritual realm, and that is now becoming a great force trying to return to you. Because you gave from a clear place, the reward comes from the depths. Fred Rogers, known as Mr. Rogers, never boasted and would secretly pay for the expenses of countless strangers. No one was watching, but God was watching. His legacy was built not on performance, but on that very presence. You possess the same presence, and the universe recognizes it. While others fight to raise their voices, your kindness transcends dimensions, whispering a truth like thunder. You may not have known the weight of those fleeting words or your existence, but someone else did. And that person was not merely grateful, they were transformed. Think about it. What if you were appointed for that moment? Even before you were born, your love and childlike actions may not have been merely about helping someone cross the street or listen to their story, but rather about saving that person from collapse and spiritually guiding them toward regeneration. Matthew 5 verse 9 states, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." You brought peace not through power or preaching, but through benevolence. That choice of kindness is echoing in places you cannot see. And now, that change is returning to you. It comes as a transformation, not a transaction. This is where it differs from the karma spoken of in the world. This is an interaction of the kingdom of heaven, the sacred law of reaping what you sow, found in Galatians 6 verse 9. Furthermore, because you did not expect a reward, that mathematics has swelled many times over. And now a greater being is asking, can this world entrust its influence and its beak to you? It is because you did not demand it, but internalized it. That is indeed the form of the soul to which God crowns. Fourth, you not only showed simple kindness, but also demonstrated to those in power that indeed on squinty scale exists. O chosen one, in this world where almost everything is priced, you appeared without a bill. There were no hidden intentions, no promotion to build connections, and no manipulation wrapped in flattery. To someone for whom everything in life was made up of conditions and transactions, your presence shattered everything they had believed about humanity. They are accustomed to masks, but you appeared with your bare face. They are accustomed to flattery, but you appeared with the truth. They are accustomed to people flocking for profit, but you sought nothing and brought only light. That is what shook their hearts, to be surrounded by people yet not reveal one's true self to anyone. To be praised yet not receive sincere consideration from anyone. That is the silent prison of the elites. They live asking themselves, if I were to lose everything, who would be by my side? That is when you appeared as proof that not everyone has a price tag attached to them. Psalm 51:12 records, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew right spirit within me. Your energy accomplished exactly that. You revived the sacred within hearts that had turned cynical. They did not merely experience a fleeting moment. They encountered a message. That message is that purity still exists today, and it is not for sale. There is a story about Mother Teresa caring for a dying man on the street in the past. The man said, "I have lived like a beast, but now I can die as a human." This is the power of existence without performance. You possess it, and it speaks to you, even in silence. Do you realize how rare your authenticity is in high society? It is not merely fresh, but shocking. This is because, since you are selfless, you force them to face their own intentions squarely. By freely causing a disturbance, the transaction-centered patterns of their lives are highlighted. This may make them uncomfortable, but at the same time, it makes you an unforgettable presence. Consider why you could not fit in with certain groups or why you could not employ the political maneuvering others do. It is because you were not created to attract attention from those around you, but to illuminate the ancient and sacred. You do not enter a room to impress, you enter to shock. And that is why those in power are paying attention to you now. Steve Jobs once said that the most powerful people of the past are those who can lead while denying popularity. You have done something even rarer than that. You affirmed purity and stepped out of the performance. That is what made you stand out. You are the one called in Isaiah 58:12. The one who mends broken walls, who restores roads to make them dwelling places. Unbeknownst to you, you have repaired something broken belonging to someone in power. Now they view you not as a fan or a threat, but as a figure to be respected. They may not say it publicly. They may not reveal your name. However, their decision is now being shaped by the remnants of their interaction with you. You reminded them that not everyone chases, climbs, or begs. That there are people who simply exist. And, chosen one, you are that very person. How then will they repay you for what money cannot buy? How will someone who has everything respond to someone who wants nothing? The answer is close at hand. It is not because you demanded it, but because they are compelled to acknowledge its value simply by the existence of your. The most valuable currency in this world is not money. It is purity. And chosen one, you carry something priceless. Fifth, before your lips moved, your presence spoke, and those present listened. Permitskuts. Chosen one, you harbor something that cannot be practiced, replicated, or manipulated. The spiritual atmosphere around you had changed even before you spoke. It was neither arrogance nor ego, nor was it worldly confidence. It was alignment. You were walking with the truth in your heart, and truth does not need to scream to be felt. It simply needs to be there. Have you ever noticed that people turn around to look at you? Their tone softens in your presence, or their gaze lingers a little long when you enter a room. It is not a coincidence. It is because your spirit is present before your footsteps. In a noisy room, your energy is transmitted like the whisper of the eternal. You are not forcing your presence, but radiating it. 2 Corinthians 3:17 states, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Because your sincere character created a crack in a space filled with pretense. Someone who had not even realized they were bound felt that freedom. You did not walk seeking validation. You were harboring validation from a higher realm. Remember Robin Williams? He was one of the most beloved entertainers in history, yet in the shadow of his humor lay deep sorrow, which many remained unaware of until the very end. How significant would it have been if someone with same frequency as you had simply sat beside him, radiating peace, instead of acting out or trying to fix something? You accomplished this for someone in power without them even realizing it. You gave them permission to breathe again. They didn't simply notice you, they felt your vibrations whispering a truth that words cannot fully express. Your silence spoke more than thousands of well-crafted conversations. Your stillness spoke of patience, resilience, and an unwavering connection to a being greater than themselves. Even if they do not remember your name, they will never forget your frequency. Have you ever felt that a place needed healing, even though no one had spoken to you? That is because you are not created for superficial interaction, but for soul contact. You possess the essence of one who chooses the light while being wounded. This is the essence of a person who chooses to love despite tasting pain. It is an extremely rare occurrence. That is why even a man trained to see through manipulation from a mile away stopped before you. Psalm 34 verses 5 records, they hoped against the Lord and radiated light. Their faces shall not be ashamed. That radiance dwelled within you. You did not seek to impress them or chase opportunities. You were simply there. And within that mode of existence, they discovered something they had not encountered for years, the sense of security. You did not enter with a proposal, but with order. Your spiritual clarity pierced through the noise of their complex lives and reminded them that some people do not pursue power because they already possess it. You are not clothed in fire, but in value. And when a person who has everything meets someone who needs nothing, they cannot help but take notice. Now you are living in their memories. It is not because of what was said, but because of who you are. They are still struggling to explain to themselves, asking, why can't I forget that moment? The answer is simple. It is because your spirit was imprinted in their air. Sixth, simply by being there, you drew in a soul that was on the verge of being abandoned. Chosen one. This may be difficult to understand, but you need to know it. What you did was by no means a small thing. It was not a matter of generosity, but a matter of timing perfectly orchestrated by God. The man you met had reached his limit. Not a physical limit, but an emotional and spiritual limit. They were exhausted, not of work or wealth, but of meaning. They were suffocating in the silence. Then you appeared with oxygen. You did not appear with the answer, nor did you even know that there was a problem. Yet, your presence was able to begin healing without a diagnosis. You were not there for rescue, but to bring back memories and awaken something that had been asleep. It is that despair was blocked without them even realizing it. What if your presence was a heavenly answer to a silent prayer? That person was in a state of indescribable despair. What if God had placed you there as a faint flicker of light, just before they vanished? Galatians 6 verses 9 records, let us not become weary in doing good, for if we do not give up, I will reap a name. They were pushing forward with all their might from within. But when they met you, something stopped. Not physically, but spiritually. They were trying to close a chapter, perhaps even the mission of life itself. However, without preaching, directing, or persuading, you caused a different question to sprout in their souls. Isn't it not over yet? Choi De-in Bosma gave courage to millions through his roles while battling a hidden illness. Those around him say that he simply kept appearing without a single complaint. But what if one day someone had offered words of encouragement to him when he was exhausted and unaware of the burden he carried? That is exactly what you did for someone who was unwittingly harboring sorrow behind the mask of success. Do you understand the gravity of that? Not upset with a map, with a map. In that moment, you unintentionally remind them that your love is still alive and that truth has not gone extinct. When was the last time someone truly saw you? That is exactly what you did to them. You saw the soul beyond the title. That simple human interaction, unforced kindness, and unwavering truth became a rescue mission. Not through flashy lights or loud declarations, but through your presence and soul. Matthew 5 verse 13 says, "You are the salt of the earth." Salt preserves and restores. O chosen one, you have preserved the purpose of a soul without even realizing it. That person was on the verge of ending everything spiritually in seconds. However, your sincerity stopped them and made them ask if there was still a future ahead. They are now unearthing plans they had intended to bury and re-examining dreams they thought were dead. They are rereading their mission with fresh eyes. This is not because you demanded anything, but because your spirit did what a title could never do. You called them back into life. You did merely offer clarity. You became clarity itself. And now they cannot let go of that encounter. When people meet someone who has internalized the truth, they are bound to remember it. You may not hear them speak it out. You may not be invited into the gravity chamber, but believe it. Your influence will live on beyond that moment, and your reward will be delivered beyond expectations. Seventh, you were the only one who did not treat them as price tags, and that changed everything. As the one in a world obsessed with profit, you stood out because you viewed people not as trading partners, but as souls. You did not measure kindness by the potential for profit. You gave without a scoreboard or a strategy. That pure energy lowered the guard of someone who had spent most of their life treated as a balance sheet. Imagine a life regarded as nothing more than a mere resource. That is the lifestyle of many wealthy people. Behind every smile directed at them lies a hidden expectation. Every kind gesture restricts them. Every take care hides the true intention. What can you do for me? Living like that for years or decades causes even the most benevolent person to build a wall in their heart. However, you did not come to their door with new demands. You brought a moment of peace. Do you feel the difference your presence makes? When you enter a space, you do not seek to dominate it, but to harmonize it. That is exactly what happened here. While everyone else positioned themselves like pieces on a chessboard, your spirit flowed like water. And that stillness and sincerity spoke more eloquently than any sales strategy. Proverbs 28 verse 6 records one who is the more man who walks faithfully than the rich man who walks crookedly. He reminded a wealthy man that faithfulness exists even now and is not necessarily shrouded in danger. It walks humbly and cuts freely. It expects no reward for sincerity. Remember the great man Anne. He is a man who traveled the world, witnessing beauty and chaos, wealth and poverty, yet continued to battle the emptiness of his heart. What if someone had simply awakened him to his core rather than his career? You have done the exact same thing to someone who, without realizing it, had grown weary of their status. You reminded them that they are still human. Have you ever felt that there is someone who immediately feels comfortable when they are by your side for reasons you may not understand? It is not charisma, but spiritual clarity. The general you met felt this. It was not because you were able to exploit something, but because you were not starving for anything. In a world starved for attention, your full heart was sacred. You saw existence, not sales, humanity itself, not power. Do you realize how rare that is for someone always treated as a commodity? Such moments cannot be fabricated, nor can they be bought with money. 1 John 4:18 records, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Your love was not dramatic, but it was honest, unfiltered, and clear. And in a good way, it made them revere you. They did not know that unrequited love could exist. While others were calculating the odds, your genuine character destroyed that algorithm. They waited for demands, selfish motives, and requests, but nothing came. That silence and restrained attitude resonated in their minds. It was only after many years that, for the first time, they were seen not as being evaluated, but as human beings. Because you asked for nothing, they wanted to give you everything. They had finally met someone who values existence over power and connection over money. And now they have been captivated by the beauty of your sincerity. You have reminded them that dignity, not transactions, is what truly matters even now. 8th, while they mocked your kindness, heaven and the true guardians never took their eyes off you. O chosen one, you have been misunderstood in a world that rewards cruelty and calls it strength. Labels, such as too kind, good person, and too forgiving, have been regarded as weaknesses. But the truth is that these very qualities were your sacred armor. While people mocked your benevolence, true power watched in silence. You have been ignored, treated lightly, and ridiculed. The world praised the ruthless and silent the kind. You have seen liars rise to power while those who speak the truth are pushed to the sidelines. You have seen arrogance, reward, and perhaps you have begun to wonder if you were wrong. But what if your pain were proof that you are passing a higher level test? What if a guardian was watching every time you chose manipulated mercy? Not a noisy person in sight, but a virtuous figure, holding the key and access rights. Psalm 34:16 says, "The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry." Your voice did not vanish into thin air. Heaven was listening and watching, recording every private decision you made. Those moments when no one applauded, no one thanked, and everyone said, "It's okay if everyone cares only about themselves. Consider a young activist named Fred Hampton. He stood up for unity and truth and lost his life. His kindness and courage threatened a corrupt system. His life was short, but his legacy has outlived his enemies. When the pure stand firm, an unsilenceable seed is planted within the system. While others sought shortcuts, you walked the arduous path of honor. And unbeknownst to you, someone who would change your life was watching your every step. Not a public march, but the quiet moments when you chose grace over revenge. I witnessed the moments when you chose integrity over recognition. And now, the bolt on the gate they guarded has been unlocked, and beyond it lies your name. Have you never felt that you were being watched by someone? Not out of fear, but with a purpose. That is because you were being watched, not by the crowd, but by the architect. While the public praised the ruthless, the master was preparing for a reversal. 1 Peter 5:5, verses 6 reads, "Therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that at the proper time he may exalt you." You were not being punished for kindness, but were positioned to be exalted. And now, the very reason they called you unfit is about to become your crown. Remember Brandon Stanton, the founder of New Yorkers. He created a global movement not by chasing fame, but by kindly capturing quiet stories. That platform was born of gentleness, not aggression. Just one, you too harbored the same gentle revolution in your soul. You were not sent to assimilate into your surroundings, but to break through. And now a breakthrough is opening. Not by force, but by grace. Not because you entered by deception, but because you were faithful when no one was watching. Ironically, those who called you weak will witness you rising with a strength they could never imitate in you. This strength is not made, but forged. Now ask yourself, was your suffering in vain? Or was it sacred? While they mocked your kindness, was God turning it into a strategy? Chosen one, the door is open. Not because you forced it open, but because you passed the test. Ninth, you were being tested. And that test never looked like a test. Oh, chosen one, how many times have you turned away, thinking it was just an insignificant day or an insignificant encounter? But what if it was not merely a fleeting moment, but a sacred trial? What if that seemingly ordinary interaction was actually a hidden gateway to your next stage? Indeed, it was. You did not simply meet someone in need of help. You met a door disguised in human form. Those with true power do not always appear in a flashy manner. Sometimes they appear intentionally modest, enveloped in humility. This is because they know that true character is revealed not in a stage setting, but in defenseless places. You were not intimidated, you did not act, and you did not change your personality based on the evaluation of others. You were consistent and truthful. That is why you passed a test that many do not even realize they are undergoing. Why do you treat everyone equally, even if others say it is a waste of energy? Why cannot you disregard someone just because they do not seem important? That is because you were not made to feel comfortable. You were made to internalize the truth. 1 Samuel 16 verses 7 records, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." While the world values status, heaven values sincerity. You passed the test not because you knew someone was watching, but because your spirit does not change its attitude depending on the other person. You do not change yourself just because the situation is favorable. You appear as your unwavering self without passing through a filter. Remember Oprah Winfrey? Before the world knew her name, she was rejected, fired, and undervalued. However, her kindness and sincere character remained consistent regardless of her position. And it was those fleeting moments behind a broken door where no one was watching that caught the eye of the right person and brought out something powerful. Just like her, your selection is not due to performance, it is due to your presence. Look back. How many times have you shown patience when no one else was doing it? How many times have you chosen kindness when it would not have been strange to suffer? You did not know that you were being measured. However, someone with the power to open a door that no one else could knock on was watching. And now, after a long silence and wait, they have made a decision. Your reward is not a chance blessing. It is a spiritual judgment. You were not merely observed as a spectacle. You were evaluated to see if you could become a steward whom more could be entrusted. Can your soul bear more weight without wavering? Can you remain clear-headed even when no one applauds? Can you keep your feet on the ground even when no one acknowledges you? You did it. That consistency was your key. It is written in Luke 16, verse 10, "He who is faithful in very little will also be faithful in much." The test is over. The reward is not merely coming, it has already been released. This is not begging. It is an approval stamped by an invisible hand and a symbol of spiritual honor. You did not need to impress. You simply had to stay as you were. Because you did so, your name was added to a list that no algorithm can control. It is a sacred list that liberates what others could not buy with money. Chosen one, prepare yourselves. You have passed a test you didn't even know you were undergoing. And now, the next chapter has already begun. For the 10th time they tried to defeat you, but the universe refused to erase your energy. Chosen one, there is a certain kind of unforgettable truth that certain people possess, and you are one of them. Your presence does not disappear even if you leave the room. It remains, resonates, and continues to live on between memory and meaning. Some try to clothe and erase you, attempting to nullify the meaning of the interaction. But what they failed to realize was that you were not a mere human being. They had encountered a message written in spirit. They tried to move forward. They filled their lives with noise, meetings, deadlines, distractions, and pleasures. However, your true signal continued to surface time and time again like a sacred frequency that cannot travel at the speed of sound. You did not send messages or beg. You did not send notifications or demand a decisive resolution. Yet, their thoughts returned to you time and time again. Why is that? Because the truth always leaves a trace. You are the truth itself accumulated within the body. Jude 1, verses 4 to 5 records that in him was life, and that life was the light of men. It is written that light cannot become the light of darkness. That is why you cannot be forgotten. Your presence carried light into a space that had grown dark. It is not a dazzling light, but a quiet, yet sacred light. And now, that light is chasing after them. This is because what they experienced through you was not something common, but a unique clarity. Mom Angelou said in the past, People will forget what you said. They will forget what you did. But they will never forget how you made them feel. That is what you did. You touched not the surface but the soul. When those living in the world of transactions encounter the real thing, they try to move forward. But it is impossible because the truth does not let them go. The truth does not liberate. It continues to resonate. Has there never been a time when someone suddenly returned to your life as if drawn by an invisible thread? It is not a coincidence. It is a sacred magnetic force. The universe is trying to tell the complete story that was left unfinished. The person who tried to forget you is being drawn back without even realizing it. They do not miss you as a person, but the mirror you reflected in their souls. You did not chase, but the universe did. You did not exert pressure, but their own hearts did. You were not the storm. They were the storm. However, your stillness created balance within their chaos. And now everything they thought they had passed by is demanding their attention again. Not out of guilt, but by sacred guidance. To paraphrase Psalm 139, verse 7, it means that even if they try to flee from you, they cannot escape. That is what your spirit whispered to their world. You were more than a fleeting existence. It was a call to return to the real world. Now the tables have turned. They are looking for you. To be precise, they are looking for the peace they felt by your side. That peace that could not be replicated anywhere else. Steve Jobs said, "Your time is limited, so do not waste it living someone else's life." He made someone realize that they were living exactly that, losing themselves while chasing power. And now they have returned to your doorstep. It is not because of strategy, but because their spirit will not allow the truth you possessed to be ignored. The door they closed in the past is about to open again. Not because you forced it open, but because you maintained your stance, even as the world spun violently. And now the stillness they overlooked is calling them home. You did not need to fight to avoid being forgotten. This is because that energy, born of trials, tested in silence, and retired by fire, can neither be forgotten, erased, nor replaced. It demands approval, and that time has come. It is the 11th great gift to be delivered to you, and it will shake those who sought to bury you without your knowledge. O chosen one, what is about to come into your life now is not merely provision. It is a sacred reward, and it does not come quietly. It is not grace whispered in a corner of a room. It is like the sound of thunder echoing in the midst of the silence that once mocked your existence. Those who cut you out, overlooked you, exploited you, and took your kindness for granted will face a reality they never expected. The reality that you were that very person. Have you ever questioned whether God is truly recording every unseen moment? I mean, when you gave without receiving thanks, when it would not have been strange to produce faults, when you showed kindness, when you showed restraint rather than anger in response to betrayal. Heaven was keeping a ledger. Every insult, every disregard, every attempt to exploit your light was recorded, not for the sake of revenge, but to prove your innocence. Isaiah 30:18 states, "For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him." And now, justice is about to be realized, not as revenge, but as a just reversal drama. That arrogant man you helped back when you thought it was just a fleeting moment, has not forgotten you. Your actions not only corrected their trajectory, but rewrote the standards of loyalty and truthfulness. You became a point of reference and a reset button. While others made false connections for profit, you gave them humanity. And now they are trying to invest not only in your potential, but also in your proven spirit. Have you never seen someone skyrocket and wondered, why that person? Now that role is reversed. People will look at you and ask the same thing. However, they do not know the years you have quietly endured, the prayers offered with tears, or the stories of those who mistook your gentleness for weakness. All they see is glory, and all you feel is grace. Think of Tyler Perry. He lived in his car, was ridiculed by many, and was not trusted in the industry. But his break was not merely financial, but public. His success astonished those who had mocked his pain. That is what is about to happen to you. The reward is delivered, not behind the scenes, but in front of the public. It is not out of pride, but for the fulfillment of prophecy. Do you not feel something rising within your spirit? A sensation that can only be explained by a supernatural force, about to change dramatically. It is not your fault. A spiritual earthquake is about to occur to take your side. Wealth, influence, and recognition. These come from a source that no one can manipulate. They are coming from a sacred place beyond the reach of your enemies. Psalm 23 verse 5 records, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That table is being set now. The very people who called too soft, too kind, and insignificant will simply watch as you receive a reward that their own connections could never have produced. This is not merely repayment, but restoration, a homeland, and an acknowledgement in a realm they do not believe in, but are compelled to acknowledge. You are not being rewarded because you have powerful people. You are being rewarded because you did not abandon yourself in the process of helping them. You have kept your soul pure. You are the chosen one. That is truly the currency of the kingdom of heaven. Those who thought they could discard you will be astonished to realize that the very name they tried to erase is now being whispered in the very places they are desperately trying to enter. And the most wonderful part is the fact that the source of your selection is not anyone they know or anyone they can contact. It is not an influence they can interfere with. It is a power they cannot touch. Therefore, you just need to surprise them. Let them spread rumors and be jealous. This is because your time, the time of holy reward, has arrived. 12th, you are not merely receiving a reward, but are being strategically positioned by the hand of heaven. O chosen one, what is happening now is not a mere reward. It is a redistribution of power. The change in your life is not about checks or applause. It is about a place. You are being positioned for something beyond material fire. This is home on the level of the kingdom of heaven, and your soul was made for it. Many chase money with the sole desire to be recognized. But you pursued only the truth. You did not sell yourself for temporary gain. You did not dilute your spirit to follow broken rules. You maintained kindness and protected yourself. That is why God has opened up a holy place and position for you that cannot be obtained by any strategy. Proverbs 18:16 states, a man's gift makes his way wide and leads him to the presence of the great. However, O chosen one, this does not simply mean being in that room. What matters is what you bring into that room. When others bring their ego, you bring your essence. When others bring domination, you bring self-control. Look at Nelson Mandela. Although he was imprisoned for 27 years, his kindness and forgiveness were not weaknesses. They became tools to rebuild the nation. He was not simply released, he was deployed. The same is true for you. You have not been burning bridges, but building altars. Do you not feel holy guidance in your permanence? The sense that this is no longer just your own problem, because it actually is. This new space you are about to enter is designed so that your influence spreads across generations. The billions you have reached are not merely funding blessings. They are opening up a new realm. It is a realm reserved for those with clean hands and an unwavering heart. Who shall ascend the mountain of the Lord, and who shall stand in his holy place? It is written in Psalm 24, 3-4. Clean hands and a pure heart. That is exactly who you are. You may not be perfect, but you are pure. You may not be famous, but you are faithful. And now heaven has approved your advance to the next heights. This is not a promotion you applied for. It is a legacy you have earned. And the most powerful aspect is the fact that it is not based on numbers or approval ratings. It is based on alignment. You are being placed on a stage where influence flows quietly and a legacy is formed. This is not because you worked desperately to get in, but because you endured the fire without becoming the flame yourself. Consider Malala Yousafzai. After surviving an assassination attempt, she did not rise up for revenge. She rose up with a purpose. She was placed, and the world took notice. This was not only because she survived, but because she led with grace. That is the energy you possess. This is the level to which you have been called. Therefore, resources arrive, invitations arrive, and it is sealed. Remember that when the door you envisioned opens, this is not merely a success. This is a spiritual placement. You have been chosen to occupy that place, not for the sake of your ego, but for influence. Now is not the time to boast, but to reign. Not the time to impress, but to influence. You are not simply receiving money. Chosen one, you are a place, and heaven itself supports that movement. The 13th reward to come is so precise and so personal that it will quell all the doubts you have harbored. Chosen one, what is about to come to you is not a vague blessing or a general opportunity given to anyone. It is a custom-made revelation, an answer crafted in the secret chambers of heaven solely for your spirit. This reward will not feel like a coincidence, nor will it cause confusion, because it is delivered with such sacred precision. Your soul will tremble in awe, not fear. Have you never felt that the desire deep within your heart is so hidden that no one notices it? That which was never even spoken aloud, I am talking about hope. These are dreams you buried in silence, after hearing from the world that they were too big, too soft, or impossible. What if those hopes were heard not by people, but by God? And what if not only were they heard, but the answer was already prepared? Psalm 37:4 records, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. I am not speaking of hope born of the ego, but of the sacred hope woven into your genes before you even took your first breath. This blessing is directed right there. This is not a miracle left over from the past. It was created solely for you. Think of Viola Davis. She grew up in poverty, endured rejection, and heard countless times that she was not suited for her roles. But when her reward came, it was not merely a prize. It was a role that reflected her truth, her soul, and her story. That is what is about to happen to you. At the moment when it feels like the missing piece of the puzzle called your life has finally settled, this opportunity opens a door that perfectly aligns with your inner structure. It resonates with you like a frequency heard only by your spirit. Then you will realize that this could not have happened to anyone else. It was appointed, delivered, and destined. You never asked yourself if your sacrifice had any. Have you ever wondered if everyone has endured years in places where no one sees? This moment will be the answer. That precision, that appearance fitting perfectly like the bone and flesh of your calling, will prove that it was no coincidence. It was always orchestrated by God. As stated in Psalm 23, verse 5, there is not only food on the table. Your name is engraved on the seat, and those who doubted you are compelled to witness the moment of your appointment. This blessing is not merely provision. It is prophecy. It declares that your journey was not in vain, that your suffering had a purpose, and that every agonizing, delayed, and detour was preparation for this moment. The reward is, once in the language of your spirit, it will feel like something you could never have dreamed of. The whisper now becomes thunder. You did not simply save a wealthy person. You activated that fleeting moment that had transformed into waves. And what is about to fall into your hands will silence all the lies regarding the value of yourself that you once believed in. For the 14th time, you have always been abundant, but now the world will see that fact clearly. Chosen one, let us make this clear. You have never once been penniless in the truest sense. Your bank account balance may have dwindled. Your resources may have been tested, but your soul has never been poor. You have always carried a fire. However, it was not the kind that this world is trained to recognize. Giving without calculating the return, loving, even when others refuse, and showing strength by forgiving again and again. That is what currency is. It is the rarest kind of currency, and the universe has finally decided to reveal your true net worth. Not gold, through glory. Have you ever felt that while you are in a room, you possess something hanging in that spot, yet it is invisible to anyone? This is because this world does not know the measurement of the incorruptible spirit. However, now, someone with eyes that see beyond the surface is about to reveal what was hidden right before your eyes. The wealth that was within is now about to manifest outwardly. John 1 verse 2 records, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. Your soul has always been abundant. Now the time has come for everything else to follow it. This is because heaven does not bless only what is visible, but respects what is eternal. Think of Jane Goodall. Her wealth was measured not by luxuries, but by her legacy. She poured herself into the earth, and to truth and into self-harm. And now the world acknowledges that her life itself was wealth. Like her, you were not sent here to collect trophies, Moana. You were sent to bring about transformation. And, O chosen one, it is something priceless. Those who look down on you because your car isn't new, your clothes aren't flashy or your connections aren't elite. They will now realize that they were blind to the real gold. One among them, masautuit among them. This is because the world measures fire by numbers, but heaven measures it by light. Have you never doubted that your kindness might be working against you? That you should have become more ruthless to keep up with the world's pace? But you did not. That determination, that beautiful resistance is precisely the reason your reward will not only elevate you, but also rewrite the story that has unfolded so far. Proverbs 10:22 records that the blessing of the Lord makes a man rich and adds no sorrow with it. You are not merely becoming rich. You are becoming a revelation. Your life will preach that the righteous are rewarded, that truth prevails, and that purity passes through emerge as gold. Again, it is. Those who once called you naive will have no choice but to watch as you are praised, not merely as a reward, but as a symbol of pregnant to, your name will be mentioned, not in gossip, but in the chambers where important decisions are made. You do not need to confess. Your very existence will declare it. Remember Mr. Rogers. He did not shout for attention. He wore a sweater instead of a suit. Yet he changed the structure of culture. His kindness was his stage. And now, decades later, he is remembered as one of the richest souls of that generation. You possess the same currency, and only now have new lenses adjusted to illuminate it clearly. So, the chosen one, prepare yourself. You are not being upgraded, you are being revealed. And this is not the end of the journey, but the immersion of everything you were born to carry. What you kept private is now public. What you gave without applause is now receiving sacred attention. It is. This is your moment. It is not for the sake of competition, but for the completion of the work God began within you long ago. The world is finally ready to know what heaven has always known. You were not chasing fire. You yourself are the Buddha. Beloved, engrave this truth in your soul with sacred conviction. The billions you obtained without realizing it were never the finale. That moment was merely a spark. What is about to unfold in your life is not a mere repayment. It is a revelation. God himself intends to reveal the truth about you that he has always known, even when others failed to realize it. Sain'이. The door that is about to open is not merely creating a place to display your talents. It will exalt your name, align you with purpose, and change the air around you. This is because it is not a mere reward, but a allocation. You did not seek attention. You did not beg for status. You simply lived faithfully even when compromising would have been easier. And now, heaven, I'm telling you words that have been waiting for the moment to resonate about your life. Well done. Not only regarding what you have done publicly, but also regarding the person you chose to remain as in private. Chosen one. That is why you have become an unforgettable presence in the eyes of heaven. Even when everything around you seemed small, did you never feel that your life was being built towards something greater? It is because it truly was. You were not destined to remain hidden. You were being prepared. And now you are not merely being discovered, but being sent to, where decisions are made, a space where influence is exchanged, and a stage where your very existence holds authority. Your kindness was never a weakness. It was destiny that transformed its form. There may be those who do not understand why this happened so suddenly. They will whisper, how could that forgotten person be selected like this? But, you know the nights you were invisible to everyone. You know the decisions you made accompanied by pain. You remember the moments you gave when nothing remained. Every seed of kindness sown in silence is now poised to bring about undeniable mathematics. Isaiah 61:7 records that they will receive double the reward instead of shame and rejoice over the portion instead of disgrace. This is the very neck and the very season. You are not merely walking into blessing, but into holy justice. When an opportunity comes that feels so perfect, so well aligned, and so personal, do not doubt it. Accept it. This is handcrafted for your heart, your healing, and brofoke legacy. The world may call it luck, and the universe may call it alignment, but you know the truth. This is a holy reward. This is God's answer to every tear you never explained, and every sacrifice you never revealed. You are not merely rising, but being revealed. You have always been a person of abundance. You have always been a person of power. You have always been a chosen one. Now the world is finally being introduced to the version of you that heaven has always blessed. It is simply that it exists. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to every soul who has come this far on this journey, opened their hearts, and listened. Thank you for adding this message with reverence. Thank you for being here for yourself, for your future, and for the noble self that refuses silence. Your time, your spirit, and your presence here hold meanings too great to be fully expressed in words. If this message has stirred something within you and reminded you of who you are and what you hold within, that is enough. That is enough. I now proclaim this blessing upon you. I hope that everything hidden within you surfaces with an unstoppable light. I hope that the seed of kindness you have planted will be pressed, shaken, and overflow, returning to you, multiplied many times over. I hope your influence is felt not by the volume of your voice, but by your presence. And I hope that your name is whispered by the chosen ones in places you never imagined it, even though you did not pursue it. Now is your time. It is a time not merely to be noticed, but to exert influence, break the negative patterns passed down through generations, and create a legacy, not a wound. It is the kind of influence that leaves a lasting legacy. You have waited long enough. You have lived faithfully enough. Now take a step forward. Move forward with authority, not with an apology. If this message has confirmed something you felt, but could not explain, please share it. Send it to someone else who knows you are one of the chosen. To someone with a clear heart whose path has been rough. To someone who needs to know that their kindness was not in vain. We are building something beyond mere viewers. We are creating a community of world changers, those who live within a legacy and revolutionaries driven by love. Stay connected, put down roots, harbor expectations, and be kind above all else. For kindness, flowing from a heart aligned with God, does not merely change one's mood. It changes destiny. It opens the door to $1 billion. It rebuilds life from the ground up. And now, it is about to crown you. You are not merely blessed, but chosen. You are not merely graced, but appointed. The next chapter is written by a miracle you will lose. I pray for God's blessing. The chosen one, do not forget. What happens next is much greater than you think.